Welcome to episode 12 of Lost in Translation with Bobby Martin. I'm Sam Perkins. As always, we're coming to you from the WCTV studios in Wilmington, Massachusetts. Today we are joined by Northeastern University assistant coach Joel Smith. Thank you so much for joining us.
Sam, Bobby, thank you guys for having me, man. This is awesome.
Man, it's good to have you here. We've got Joel Smith, my former roommate, young buck with an old soul.
Yes, sir. Big Bobby.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
We got, he is a alumnus, a two-time alumnus of Northeastern. I've also gone there in undergrad and graduate school. So Joel's time there was a little more lustrous than mine, but it's not a competition.
Huntington Ave, man. Huntington Ave.
Had the benefit of all the games at Matthews Arena, too, on top of it.
Husky Nation, baby. Husky Nation.
Yes, sir.
So, Joel, this is now your
second season starting this upcoming season.
Second season as an assistant. This is your third stint, though, right? As a Husky, technically? Weren't you were there as a player? Then graduate video coordinator?
Mm-hmm.
And then
full-time, I left for about 3 years to go to New Haven for a full-time position, and then I was blessed to be able to come back. I'm going to my second year as an assistant.
What's it like to, because you're not a local guy. I mean, number one, Northeastern, it's been a while since they recruited local guys. You really have to go back to, like this. We're going back before the Berea era, before the Ron Everhart era. You got to go back, a ways from when they were even bringing in local walk-ons. But what's it like to continue to return to a place that, you had many people talk about college as being, the best time of their life. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth at all. I don't know what it was for you, but I got to imagine if it was awful to be there in undergrad, you probably wouldn't come back again. What's it like to keep coming back?
No, man, Boston's an unbelievable city, man. It's my home away from home, originally from Austin, Texas. Never expected to live out this way this long, but, I'm a Bostonian now, dating back since 2009, and, I had a chance to leave after, play professionally, and then, just coming back, it just felt right. Able to be back with my old coach, some guys I played with, and then I have, just over the years made a ton of relationships and friendships in the New England area. So I love it. It's a great experience.
So, what was the transition for you, like from Texas to the Northeast?
That first year, I hated it. Obviously, the snow, getting used to that, getting used to different seasons, and then on top of, just the weather aspect of it, being away from friends and family, school was harder, workouts were harder. I wouldn't, didn't imagine not playing, coming into a situation where I wasn't on the court, where that probably could relieve some stress and give you something to look forward to. It was more challenging, pretty much in every aspect, but that first year. But, luckily stuck through it. Some guys just find the easy way out. I thought about going home for sure many nights, just not being on the court and feeling like, I was actually a part of the team. As a kid, you don't feel like you're a part of the team unless you're actually on the court. But, so I did have thoughts about leaving, but luckily I stuck it out, man. And, I thank God every day that I did, because, I needed to hit that wall and go through it in order to become who I am today, which is, in hindsight, it's the best decision I made. So,
tell me about, you grew up in Texas. What part of Texas did you grow up in, and just what was it like growing up, and why basketball of all things? I mean, Texas has become a much bigger basketball hotbed. It's not, people think of football when they think of Texas first and foremost, So just how was it growing up, and why basketball?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Leander, Texas. It's a small suburb outside of Austin. I was an Army brat. Kind of picked up basketball first when I was in Killeen. My parents were stationed there, and they got out of the Army, and then we moved to Austin. My dad had got a good job in downtown Austin, and I kind of grew up middle school, elementary, and on to Leander High School. Suburban area. Killeen was more Urban, a little more, not as nice, I guess, to put in
It's a little more
words.
exciting.
A few more challenges. But when we moved to Leander, it was definitely more organized, less crime, things of that nature. Which my parents did a really good job of putting us in a situation where we could learn, we could be safe and just grow up without those type of worries. So yeah, Austin. I mean, I love Austin. It's a great place. Eventually, would love to get back there, but I'm in no rush. Like I said, I've been to Boston been in Boston since 2009, and I love it, and I got a son now here, so I'm not in a rush.
How old is he?
My son just turned 3 in February. He's on his way to 10 years old next February.
Has he calmed down from 2 to 3, or because my oldest Jack, who's insane person, when 2 to 3, people talk about terrible disease, he got worse when he was 3. Like, he got crazier, and he was talking more, so he was like talking back. And what's it been like? Has it gotten any easier from age 2 to 3, or has it gotten? Is it still the same?
I think the challenges are different when you're going through different stages growing up. Right now, I love that he can talk. I love he loves sports and being active and doing all those things. Like when he was younger, we were always worried about him climbing up things and potentially hurting himself. I think now he's more aware and he's super smart. At least every parent thinks their kid's super smart, right?
Every kid is, though. I mean, that's the
They
thing.
are.
It's like I say this, the teacher in me comes out, but like people don't realize how smart kids are. They don't give them credit. I mean, when parents are like, "My kid's so smart," and it's like yeah, you're being a parent, but also like, no, kids are really smart. Adults don't give them the credit for how smart they are.
No, they definitely are, man. And it's a joy for me. Obviously, I have a commitment to basketball and coaching and recruiting and all the things that come with it. But when we're together, it's always something I learned from him, and something that maybe I missed that I'm like, yo, you can do that now. It's always joyful when I get those dad moments with him.
So do you? I'm assuming you take him to the games. Do you let him walk on the court?
Oh yeah, he comes on the court. He'll say what's up to the guys. He'll come in the coach's locker room after games and pound everybody up. And he's a huge sports fan. We had him in hockey. We had him in swimming. We had him in baseball, gyms.
That was this past year.
Yeah, he's super active, man. He's super active.
Wow.
But he just loves, he's loved being active. He's not.
Oh, what's his name?
Jamari Smith.
Jamari, okay.
Yeah, he's like every kid. He loves technology and like watching his shows. Yeah. But I give him credit. He loves being outside. We have 2 dogs, and they keep him active as well. So I love
Shout out to Jamari. Your dad's a good man, Jamari. We're putting this out there in the universe right now. Your dad's a good man.
Thank you.
So to kind of rewind back a little bit, that first year, you said it was really rough, kind of, not playing that much. You're coming from, I mean, Boston winters it might not be, Minnesota, but it's not pleasant here in the winter. I've lived here. I always wind up back here. Doesn't matter where I've gone. I grew up in Cambridge, right across the river from you. And I seem to always wind up back here. And even I, living, growing up here, the winter is just awful. And just what was that first year like, and how close did you come to going somewhere else?
Yeah, I think so. The winters for me, they aren't as bad. I think it's the perspective I had as a student athlete, not playing, school being hard. I think all those things kind of heighten the winter as far as me perceiving it as bad. I really don't have a problem with the winters now. Boston's pretty good at cleaning cleaning the streets. And, it snows one day, 2 hours, 3 hours later, the roads are clear. So that's a great deal. But just to kind of touch on your point, I think it was on top of other freshmen that I came in with. I came with a pretty big class, about 6 other guys with me. And we had a really, really good team. We had, Chase and Allen,
Yep.
who was first team all-conference, Matt Janning,
Yep.
Inko Jabo, Manny Adako, who's on our staff now. They were, an unbelievable starting, core group.
The last two I'm trying to get on this show.
Yeah.
Ink's schedule is insane.
Oh,
my son is friends with his older daughter. But yeah,
Yeah, so
good guys.
Yeah, a lot of us didn't get the opportunity to play for good reasons. Those were incredible players, all conference guys. But we clicked up as freshmen, some of us, and we just coming. It's hard to adjust coming from playing all the time, and I wouldn't say I was close to entering the portal. I was just sulking a lot and kind of feeling bad for myself that I wasn't playing. But I thought about it all the time. Like, man, it's cold here. Wait for my girlfriend or whatever, my friends. Like, I'd rather be home. But luckily, I persevered and had the right people in my corner, telling me to stick with it. And once you do finally get your opportunity, it's gonna be worth it.
So, what was your reaction when they told you to stick with it? Because it was, I'm sure that cold weather was telling you something else, right?
Nah, man, it's sometimes you just gotta have people in your corner that's gonna put things in perspective. My parents, they were, like I said, they were Army parents. They were no nonsense. They're like, yo, whatever the coach tell you to do, you gotta do. Like, you made a commitment to this program, to this school. This is what you wanted to do. So you're gonna stick it out. And they, they've been like that since before I went to college. They're like, whatever you're gonna, commit yourself to, you're gonna honor that commitment. And then, other guys, one of my good friends, John Lee, who was a captain with me, he was just a resilient dude. Like, I played more than him as a freshman, and he was still, sticking it in, day in and day out, 6 a.m. workouts before lifts or practice. We'd go play a night at Harvard or Emmanuel. So when you got, positive people like that in your corner, the hard times don't seem as hard.
I was going to ask you about John because both you guys came in together and didn't play a ton, and then you guys wound up having amazing careers, two of you together, and about that. I know you guys are a little different players, but you're both backcourt players, and when there's the kind of established players in front of you, there could be some competition. He might be more of a point guard, you more of an off guard, but 3-guard lineups in college, all that sort of stuff. Everybody, I wondered, was there any, I don't want to say animosity, but I don't want to get too close to this guy because, me and him are fighting for minutes right now, or was it always?
No, man. Me and John, really behind closed doors, are like the same. We like the same stuff. We hung out all the time, man. We were each other's best, competitors. We push each other all the time. If he's getting up, at 6 a.m., I'm getting up. Like, I'm not going to let you get better than me or outwork me. And we kind of had that mentality, which kind of propelled us. We got our butts kicked freshman year by Chase and Matty J every day. So we were both going through it. And, it's better when you're going through it with somebody, and then y'all can kind of push each other to get to that next level. But, unbelievably, competitive guy, and, just – that was probably the best thing for me, is having another guy at that backcourt position, going through those phases together.
So in practice, you two were always on the same team?
Yeah. You know what?
Oh, my goodness.
Coach Cohen kind of, he...
What? Oh, I'm disappointed in Bill. Oh,
No. So this is what happened. Like, when it was Matt, Chase, Manny, and Ink, in that group, we were young.
Okay.
He'd put us together against them. They'd kick our butts.
Right.
When we got older and better and we were the guys, he'd split us up. Now we competing against each other.
So he did split you up?
Yeah, he did, once we got older.
So there was no talking between you two? You didn't go at each other with no fights?
We jawed all the time.
Okay, all right, just checking. I think that's what Sam was trying to ask. What's going on?
We were competitive, man. We both wanted to win.
It's interesting to me because I had to refresh myself on that roster your first year. And I remember it not really well. I'm looking over it, but I'm cheating here. Got the computer up. But you guys did come in with a big class. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think you and John were the only ones of that class to stick for 4 years. Only you two.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
I would say Kari, Dinko, Elwang graduated right, a little early. Chris graduated. He redshirted, and I think he graduated after us. But me and John were 4 years in, and then we were done.
Ink left?
Ink graduated.
Oh, he was
a
graduate.
grad.
He was a senior, so he wasn't in
Okay.
their class. He was
Okay.
there.
Yeah, he was
Like
a senior.
Janning was a
freshman.
senior, Manny Adako was a senior, but like the freshmen that came in, that I'm looking through them and I'm remembering, oh man, this guy that was talked about, being I don't know if you or John from day one, I can't remember, were talked about as being like the one they're expecting to be a star from that class, but it was you guys wound up being it.
Yeah. Just resilience, man.
What was your relationship like with Coach Cohen? If you stick it out and then you come back and you're on his staff 2 times in 2 different capacities, I've got to imagine. I mean, maybe it wasn't always good, but that the final place was pretty solid if you'd come back and be on the staff.
I would say me and his relationship early on, it was, not non-existent, but I was such a quiet and, to myself person. I think John kind of over the years brought it more out of me. I was more outgoing by the time I was a senior, and outspoken. But yeah, early on, I was compliant. I did what was asked of me. I loved basketball, so I was in the gym, just focused on trying to find my way on the court. I didn't go into his office maybe as much as I should have to, kind of build that rapport and relationship. But now, as a, assistant on his staff, I think we have a, really good relationship. We, enjoy the same things. We, philosophies line up. And I think I can really go to him for advice or, just to kind of talk and sit there and kind of pick each other's brains.
So what would you say to a young player? It's funny that you mentioned that you weren't open enough to go in and talk to Bill. Mm-hmm. And Bill's a quiet guy himself, right?
Yeah.
So now there's no communication going on, right? Because Bill has got other things on his mind, right?
Yeah, he's got a million things to do.
But when you go in there, now all of a sudden you're listening to the old sage, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, he's I've tried to tell, guys, even at New Haven, I tried to tell guys, man, really, really take advantage of these guys who are recruiting you and putting you in their system, because they want a relationship just as bad as you're kind of seeking out one too. You're away from home, away from your parents. These guys are kind of the guardians of what your education is going to look like, what your future is going to look like. And I just, knowing Cohen, I know you know him, Bobby, personally, but just a genuine dude, just real down to earth. And I think what kind of kept me out of his office was I was intimidated by it, just by what he is, organized, knowledgeable. I guess for an 18, 17-year-old could be kind of scary trying to go in there and have a conversation. But, I try to tell our guys, man, you definitely want to have a relationship with him beyond just basketball.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. You think about a 17, 18-year-old kid going into his office.
Yeah.
You go in wanting to talk about what's on your mind, and all of a sudden, Bill turns it around and he's got you asking questions about yourself, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe I should have.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's a good point, right? And you walk out, man, that was a good talk, right?
Yeah, you're always going to learn something when you walk in that office and when you're walking out. Yeah.
So your freshman year, you guys make it to the NIT. You finished second. Your senior year, I remember you guys were the first place and you got upset in the championship games. You never quite get to the NCAAs. Now, how do you look back on your career when you were there? What was it like to kind of get to the doorsteps of the NCAA as a freshman, and then you guys had kind of 2 down years, rebuilding years, and you get back, and then you don't quite get there?
Yeah, man, that's always going to be one that, you wish you had back. It's funny because I always see these things on, like, social media, whether it be Instagram or Twitter, where it's option A, you get all these accolades but never make the chip. Option B, not crazy accolades, but you win a championship, essentially. And, it's funny, I have that. I ask my friends and I ask my staff, and it's funny, like, people who don't really play at the highest level, they're like, oh, we're going to take the accolades and the money or whatever. And anytime I ask somebody who's played at a high level or on the staff, they're like, oh, winning the championship is a no-brainer. But, yeah, if I could, all the accolades, the stats I don't remember, but if I can get that one opportunity to play in the tournament, I would definitely take that and give some of that stuff back. Because that's what you play the game for. You play to win or play for championships and be on that stage at the end of the day.
Do you remember what it felt like when it came to an end? And I think all of us know. I mean, we do. I don't think all of us know the experience of when your playing career comes to an end, and I think different people have different feelings. Some people, we talked about when you gave it everything you had and there was nothing more you could have done. It hurt. It wasn't going to hurt, but you're able to sleep at night better versus if you're someone that didn't, you're going to have more regrets. And do you still remember what it was like when it came to an end? And are there things that you take from that you pass on to kids that you coach now?
Yeah, man. Like you say, hindsight's 20/20, and in that moment when I knew we weren't gonna advance or whatever, and the season was over, it was just a culmination of 4 years of waking up at 6 a.m., all of the hard lifts, conditioning, all the workouts, the practices, and you hope that you can lift that trophy at least once in 4 years of your career, but. It is obviously disappointing when you don't make a trip, and just being a competitor and someone who's dedicated 4 years to making that dream come true. It's a disappointment, but like you said, we left it all on the line. They had the better day, and we had to tip our hats. And luckily, John and I were able to continue playing, and those guys a couple years later went to the tournament. So. Super happy for those guys, and they had the opportunity to get to that level, see how it feels, and then turn it around for themselves, which is ultimately what you're working for is one day hoping that your team and the guys you're connected to have an opportunity to do that.
How did you know that when did you realize that you were going to stop playing professionally?
So I think. Because I I got hurt in our conference tournament, I want to say semifinals against George Mason right before our championship game. Didn't know that I had tore my ACL. I found out after the tournament. We got back, and I saw the doctor, and it turned out I had tore my ACL. So, just by the grace of God and who Coach Cohen is, he gave me opportunity to stay GA and do rehab until I was ready to play professionally. And I did the rehab, left and played in Argentina first. Didn't have a great stint there.
So you did or didn't?
Didn't really have a great stint there.
What were the obstacles?
I had some really good teammates. I had this guy Walter Herman. I don't know if y'all know.
I played with Walter in Malaga.
Yeah, so I guess he played with Detroit Pistons for a while, and he came there. Obviously, he's the number one option. Our point guard at the time was probably his late 30s. He was the president's son, so he was getting the ball. It was good competition, I'll say that. And I was really young, going there with the mindset that I want to play team ball first instead of being really, really aggressive. So that's why I didn't do as successful there. Then my next time around in Mexico was much more productive, just being much more aggressive and really trying to put the team on my back at that point.
That is funny because you just mentioned the correlation between playing in college is all about team.
Yeah.
But as a professional,
oh yeah,
if you're getting paid for it, you better show up.
Oh yeah.
So you had to focus more on your stats, but you went in with a team mindset, right?
Exactly.
That's tough. Man, that's tough.
Exactly. So yeah, I did really well in Mexico, top league, and a summer league there. I wanted to get to Europe, but it was just so inconsistent of work for me. Like I would go somewhere, play for a couple months, go home. I'm doing all this training. I got to use the money that I made playing to eat, to do all these things, and I'm not knowing when the next some contracts. Some people they call you 2 days before you got to go somewhere, and it comes Christmas, it comes New Year's, nothing's on the table. I was just like, all right, man, I need to get something more consistent, maybe get into the workforce. So it's more so the inconsistency for me.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize. And the bubble has burst a bit. When I was in college and coming out, not that I was good enough, baseball was my best sport, but like you just know from the knowing the kind of landscape that like there was still this kind of like, hey, if you play Division I hoops and you were half decent, like you can go get a contract somewhere in Europe, but that bubble's really burst, and I think young kids maybe don't realize it because they're still hearing the stories from previous generations, but like consistent pay, like there's probably only 400 jobs in Europe. There's 400 in the NBA, and probably only 400 in Europe for Americans that are like that you don't have a passport that are really like worthwhile jobs to have, and maybe not just Europe, kind of internationally. There's probably, Bobby can correct me, but 400, 500 that it's like,
probably a little bit more than that, but yeah, you're right around that.
It's really, people don't realize how hard the living is when you don't have a guaranteed contract. You need, as the American, you're expecting, you need to come in here and you need to score and produce and win, and it's on you if you don't. If you need to go all out. The teams are expecting it, but if you get hurt, they're just going to cut you. They're not. A lot of teams won't cover your rehab, won't cover anything, and not having anything sort of consistently guaranteed. I mean, I know there's no guarantees in life. I could get fired if I mess up, badly here, but there's still something about like, okay, you go, you work here, regular job, and you pay your dues, and you over there that there's just nothing, and every off season you're like, all right, I gotta like train, and then I gotta kind of wait, and it's like luck and random chance and all these different things about, do I get a decent contract for the next year?
It's really tough, and there are different levels. So if you're playing in Mexico or South America, season's different. If you're playing in Europe, I mean, if you're at the top of the league, then you're probably getting paid on time. But if you're playing in a team at the bottom of the league, you're probably not getting paid on time. The salaries differ like crazy. Good European teams, I mean, you can make six figures, and at that point, it's still a 1-year deal, right? There's, like you said, there's nothing guaranteed. And if you're not there, then you don't have a six-figure deal, because you're playing for a couple of months. And as a job, it's a job, and you've got to spend the money that you made. So it's so volatile, man.
It's first thing when kids, that I'm talking to, recruits or whatever, I'm like, the goal is to play pro. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna burst their bubble.
Right.
I'm like, definitely, enjoy school, enjoy, the college experience. Because once you get out there, you're out there. Like,
it's never the same.
It's not.
It's something that I think I used to talk to high school kids when they were talented high school kids before, when I was coaching there, college, and talk to kids that I've stayed in touch with that are playing in college, that whatever level you're at, it's never, especially when you leave college, it's not the same, because overseas the turnover rate, the fact that you're going to be on a team where most people don't speak English as their first language, many of them don't speak it at all, foreign country, and college, you have that crew on your team that you guys are really close, and you do everything together, and you're around the same age, and a lot of times you share the same interests. It's like you might be overseas with 2 other Americans on your team, and like you're 23 and one of them's 30 and one's 36, and you're like, I don't have anything in common with these guys.
They got kids and wives.
That's the way it was for me. I was lucky.
You brought up, you played with Walter Herman, and he was on, so number one, he was on that Argentinian team that won the gold back in 04 when Team USA didn't win it for the first time, and they beat Team USA twice, I think, in the Olympics. And he, was the MVP in the ACB League in Spain. He also was on that. I remember that Argentinian team. Like, every dude on that team had a second passport, because Argentina's the history of the country is it's so many different immigrant waves. Like, he's of German descent, even he's in Argentina, and then you have a bunch of dudes on those teams that had Spanish passports, Italian passports, like it was
Sanchez,
Nocioni,
Luis Scola.
Nocioni's of Italian descent, Sanchez of Spain.
Man. Yeah, they had a really good team.
South America does things a little different.
A little different.
Played in Mexico. I was like, all right, y'all got like 6 Americans on your team, but okay.
So, getting into coaching is something that it seems a lot of former players have done that, have done it for a bit, and then they're like, I don't know if this is really for me. The lifestyle's tough. You're recruiting on the road. it's different than when you're 18 to 22, 23, and it's like, oh man, I'm living on buses and hotels during the school year. This is great. I can be up till 3 a.m. and like I can bounce back at 8 a.m. the next morning. Like when you're an adult and it's like your body's hurting from being on the buses, you're going to like high school gyms without air conditioning during the AAU season, and you're dealing with crazy parents and you're dealing with crazy handlers and coaches, and like what's that transition been like? Why coaching, and what's it been like?
I think I always say, for me, I wanted to stay around basketball and help young people because of the experience I've had it with my coaches, trainers, AAU coaches. Been for the most part really good relationships and people I still communicate with, people I still look up to, and kind of want to keep those relationships going. And then I want to pay it forward to the next generation of kids. I'm a relationship person. I like, being around young people and kind of helping them achieve their goals. I think, just being 31, I'm still kind of youthful to where I can kind of connect to them in certain ways. I think I'm pretty good at it. This past 4 years or so, it's been not really. First couple of years was not really a coach-player relationship. They saw me as kind of a big brother type guy. I'm kind of trying to change that role and fit into it as a authority figure, so to speak. But I still love learning from those guys, teaching them, and connecting with those guys, because I definitely see myself in those guys, and I want them to not make the same mistakes I made or have any regrets that I wish I could kind of take back. So the hours are different. Commitment is different, but I love the game. I love being around our staff. I think that's what's made coaching a lot easier is the staffs I've been blessed to be on. At New Haven and now back with my old college coach and some guys I play with. It's not really a job. We get to talk basketball. We get to talk about different kids we think could fit in our program and help us. And we're learning every day, which I think is the biggest part.
So what is it? So this weekend you're going back out on the road, right?
Yes, sir.
AAU. What are your thoughts on AAU now? What are you seeing that concerns you, and what are you seeing that gives you hope?
Oh man, the AAU market, man, it's changed a ton since I was a kid, but. Kids are getting a lot of exposure.
Did you say kids? Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
30, 31.
Nah, kids playing today, man, they're getting a ton of exposure. There's some high-level games I've seen in my young career where I'm like, these kids are super skilled. Athleticism is off the charts. They're still raw. They need to learn and get better. But the skill level is unbelievable. And the way it's organized, I think is, we didn't have EYBL and Adidas Gold and Rise and all this stuff to where we had the exposure. I think it's giving kids a better opportunity to be seen, whether it's Twitter, YouTube, Huddle. They got so many different platforms and opportunities to kind of be seen, which I think is great. The thing that's a challenge too is the social media.
That's what I was about to say.
Social media. So it's with a lot of exposure and content. The negative too could be a lot of exposure and content. Some guys, it's all about the social media now, which is kind of taking some of the essence away from the game.
This is a very political answer. I know we need you to really get it.
We had a whole episode where we kind of talked about we talked about some of the good, but there's a lot of stuff that we were not a big fan of with the way, and it's for me. So me and Bobby are different. So I'm 7 years older than you. Bobby's older. So we're all different generations, and AAU has like evolved and changed. When I was. And even more so when Bobby, like, AAU, now it's not even called, it's like grassroots, but like, it's all, we call it AAU. Yep. When I was in high school, and before that when Bobby was in high school, that it was like, only the best of the best played it. And now it's like, they're just, you go to these tournaments and there's like a billion teams. And,
anybody can play.
and there's a lot of stuff that we've not been huge fans of, but what do you look for and what advice do you give to kids that are playing? Like as a college coach that's out there, like what are you looking for when you're out there recruiting?
I'm looking for guys that are coachable, guys that play hard, play the right way. If you're just going one-on-one every possession, just taking ill-advised shots, then that's kind of showing me that you don't really know how to play and play with others is key. Guys who give multiple efforts. It's not all about them. They show some humility. They know how to communicate and talk with their teammates and coaches. Those are the guys you look for first, the character guys that can come in and that the locker room's going to be intact still. And then obviously everybody's looking for talent, but even with talent, there comes those obstacles as well, whether it's parents, the kid himself.
Yep.
So you want to look for those red flags, but you also want to look for those subtle things, those little things that may go unnoticed that a kid can bring.
Okay, so when you go back in the day when you went to the club, okay, you were looking at how she carried herself, or were you looking at?
Well, yeah.
Were you looking at? Okay, wow, that's talent.
Yeah, right? I mean,
so it's talent first.
I've never been to a club and ogled anyone in my life. If my wife is watching this,
that's what I said back in the day. Way back in the day.
I mean, like Coach Hotalon used to say, talent is the most attractive thing. So you're gonna see that off the rip. You're gonna see who's the best person in the gym, and then you have to get into those character, those character issues or what they are like.
I think that's what I was saying when Coach Jones was on. I think it was that you need a certain level of talent to be able to play in college anywhere, whether it's D3, D2, let alone D1. But talent alone will get someone to notice you, but talent alone is not enough, especially the level of talent you need, number one, just cuts out 99% of high school players.
Yep.
But then even that 1%, it's only like 1% of that 1% that's Division I, because you can't, especially there's so many guys competing for so few roster spots that you can't just go out there and be like talent and just be an a-hole and
Right.
Nah, I mean, it's got to be that. It's got to be the academics. It's got to be, are they off the court issues or are there behavior issues? It's a lot of things that go into it. So even before you get to talk about bringing a kid up, it's for us academics. Is he going to take care of business in the classroom? Do we have to worry about him there?
And it's tougher to get into Northeastern than it is most schools.
Yes,
right.
It's a lot tougher than it was when
I
got in there.
Me too.
back in 2002.
Me too. For sure.
You mentioned when you were talking about red flags, one you kind of offhand said parents, and we talked about Joe Jones said something. Coach Jones, I should say. I'm not on that Joe level right now, but he said something, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was the extent of the conversation was basically, there's nothing a parent can say that's going to convince me to take their kid if I don't already want them. Like a parent's not going to be able to convince me to offer a scholarship, but a parent can convince me to not offer him a scholarship based on what that parent is doing. Do you feel like that's an accurate assessment?
No, that's well said for sure. Parents, they love their kids. They're going to try to get them opportunities, of course. They'll send film. They'll write emails. My kid is so and so. Check.
And there's
them out.
nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
That's
at all.
great if you send film all that. But there's a next level of how you're kind of carrying yourself at the games, what you're telling your kid, like what sort of a message is a parent sending to their kid. Like if you're a parent that's telling your kid to kind of play the game in a way that's not conducive to team, that's not conducive to listening to a coach.
Yeah.
That's probably not going to help your kid.
A parent can definitely ruin it for their kid, for sure. They can definitely ruin it.
So how many YouTubes and I'm sorry, not YouTube, but let's say TikToks and Instagram. How many of those do you put in the trash? Right? Delete.
Yeah, man.
Or do you enjoy them? I mean, I don't know.
Nah, kids are, it's a different time. I'm trying to be. Our staff tries to be progressive and understanding and patient, with the times as it's changing. We give, every kid an opportunity to kind of prove us wrong.
Prove you wrong,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, you gotta prove us wrong first. So we're gonna give you opportunity until you do that. It's when kids are funny because they'll mass email, "Hey, I love your school," whatever, and that's all cool.
That's where I want to go.
It's the when they
need to learn what BCC is. Change the email a little bit. Not like, hey, Coach Smith, I really love Boston College. I want to be an Eagle. At least change it to Northeastern.
It's usually like, hey, Coach, love your program, which is cool. I get it. You're trying to find something, right? And especially in today's world, kids were panicking a couple years ago when the pandemic hit. They weren't able to be seen. Rosters were retaining everybody. Scholarships weren't there. I felt really bad for kids, and they were reaching out, and, kind of in panic mode because, they kind of planned to get a scholarship or go play at the next level, and those were just kind of taken from them. But as far as the TikToks and stuff go, like when it's fun and kids being outgoing and all that stuff, we like that type of stuff. But when it's like profanity in the music in the background, and it's like, come on, man. And I know Coach Cohen listens or watches highlights with the music off, but I be trying to steal some music. I be like, this young, I'm trying to steal some swag. You start hitting the cuss words. I'm like, oh man, come on.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So you guys have now, you got Chris Doherty's from Marlboro. He's from Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
You had, before that, Anthony Green was a Massachusetts kid, and Miller. Yeah. Before that, Marco Benegas Flores.
Yeah, Boston.
But not a ton of Massachusetts guys at Northeastern. Do you guys recruit the state, or is it kind of I know you need kind of people you don't want to, but how does it come when you're recruiting? Because there is not a lot of local kids that wind up at Northeastern.
Yeah, I mean.
And there's some talent in Massachusetts. It's not New York, but it's there's some talent around here.
Nah, for sure. I mean, we do recruit Massachusetts. The prep schools, we recruit heavy and have good relationships with those coaches. But just like us recruiting there, BC's, BU, Harvard, UMass. So we're in competition as well. But we've done such a great job recruiting all over. To where we don't let that just hold us to here. Like we'll recruit Massachusetts for sure, but we're going to see what's out there in all places. We've done well with kids from all over, to California, Florida, Minnesota, Michigan, Texas. We've done well all over. The Massachusetts kids we've got, we've done great with those guys too. So we don't limit ourselves to Massachusetts. We definitely recruit in-house. Sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Yeah, in fairness, I remember when I was at Northeastern, going on recruiting trips, Bill has done such a great job away from Boston that, you're looking for the right fit, right? Mm-hmm. The right fit of kid. And it's not that, Sam, like you said, there's plenty of talent here, but you still only have so many scholarships.
Yeah.
And one of the impediments is when we talk about AAU, you're competing with, you're talking to AAU coaches who, with sneaker teams, right? And you want those kids. You think those kids would be a great fit, but they're looking at levels higher than Northeastern, right? Because they believe that they should be at a higher level. Now, whether they should or not is another question. Mm-hmm. But that's what they look at. They don't look at best fit. They look at brightest star. If that makes sense, right? And some of the coaches I've found out they don't even want to deal with Northeastern, because one thing I learned about Bill was he's going to be as straight up with you as possible, right? So when he does that, it turns a lot of coaches off. Why? Because I mean we can say it now. There are a lot of bags out there. Coaches, they if you want this kid, you're going to have to come with this. You're going to have to come with that, or it's a package deal. And Bill's like, no. No. And I respected that about him. And unfortunately, that's a huge part of the game right now.
It is.
So Joe couldn't say it, but I can say it.
So you're on staff with several players that you play, several coaches that were your teammates when you guys were players. You've got Manny, you have Brian. What's it like being back still at Northeastern, but now you guys are all coaches.
Oh man, it's a dream come true. I know Coach smiles all the time that we kind of get it. We've all been through it. We've all played for him. We've all gone to school there, graduated from there, come from different places to Boston. We've been blessed to stay around, and I know he feels blessed to have us come back and kind of learn under him and kind of help take over or take the program to the next couple levels.
How's Coach Murphy?
Murph, man. You know Murph, man. He's not changing. He ain't changing nothing now. But he's that charismatic connector. He's the guy. Every kid, from back when I was playing, we all go in his office. We all walk away with some token of knowledge out of his office, and we know he's gonna shoot us straight. He's gonna make us laugh. He's gonna make us feel good. But yeah, he's awesome, man. Still kicking.
Do you guys ever, Brian, Manny, ever still hoop at all? Like, do you still you still get out there and
yeah.
Who's kept themselves in the best game shape out of that group?
I would say B-Max always had the conditioning down pat. He can run for days. I would say Manny, he's on top of it. He'll get on the ellipticals. He'll get on the treadmill. And he's just a bucket. He had a good career overseas, and he still got it, man. He's got the touch. He's still got game. I think I'll probably let myself slip. I'm probably still in the best game shape, just being the youngest. But we do get out there, and we, before guys went home, right after our season, we started to do 4-on-4 live games, and we had Bo, who was our grad assistant last year, played for Cohen as well. So we'd be the 4-on-4 guys, going over different offensive reads and really taking it to our guys or trying to. But yeah, we definitely get out there, man. We try to play with our guys when we can. Men's leagues, we're trying to find them and stay active. Can't let our guys just get that much ahead of us. But yeah, we try to be active as possible.
Brian McDonald never, he never played much. Brian's my guy, but he never played a lot. He was a walk-on from Connecticut, but he was a layup line superstar.
He could
bounce.
Jump. Yeah, talk about bounce, man. Our guys didn't know that. He actually two-hand dunked it. Was it at the end? Maybe at the end of something. He just went up and two-hand dunked it. Our guys were in the gym. They're like, did Coach McDonald just go up and flush that?
He used to layup line superstar.
I was like, don't sleep, man. He's bouncy.
What's it like, Coach? Because when you played, we were getting into that, like, where if you graduated at 4, you could be eligible right away, but it still wasn't the way the portal has become since COVID, and with the your first time you can be eligible immediately. Your second time you can petition. You can petition the NCAA, and you might be eligible immediately too. Like,
we don't know either.
how hard is it? Because they always talked at the mid-major level about you have to re-recruit your guys every year because there are bigger teams looking to poach. But now, it's almost like you get a kid who is too good too soon at your level, and man, we're not going to be able to keep him for 4 years.
Who's the kid that went to Michigan State? What was his name? Tyson, right.
How hard is it, and how much are you guys re-recruiting your players every offseason?
Luckily, I think Coach Cohen does a really good job in trying to be in the guys' lives he brings in. We're more conscious of, okay, he is good. He may not. We still have to do our job and be prepared just in case somebody leaves. But we love all our guys. We try to do our best. That's what we say. We're going to do the best while we have them. We can't control or foresee what's going to happen, but we're going to push them. We're going to develop them. We're going to be what they need while they're here with us. And we hope to retain everybody and we hope they feel loved and developed and like we care about them. But those things, it is what it is. If Duke comes calling, I'm a student. I'm probably gonna leave too.
Right.
But it's a funny thing, man. it's something that we all got to deal with, but we haven't really truly figured it out yet. You just try to do the best you can do while you got them.
So college sports in general feels like it's on the verge of something. You've got schools switching here, there. There's talks about there being a split between like the BCS schools and everyone else, and almost becoming like a true minor league for the bigger schools, and what that would do to mid-major and low major. You guys are solid mid-major, but hoops, if you're not in one of those 5 or 6 big-time conferences and you still play in the same or expanding the NCAA tournament, the CAA just brought in a bunch of schools, moved to 14.
13.
Or 13, yeah, sorry. There's strong rumors that there will be a 14th at some point in the near future or a year from now, if not sooner. And, just what is it, is it something that coaches are aware of, that you athletic departments talk about, that, or are you guys just so focused on the players and it's like whatever happens, we'll deal with it when it comes? Or do you guys talk a little bit about speculate on what's gonna happen with?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely see the movement, and around NCAA we definitely bring it up. I think we're at the point right now where we're focused on not having a repeat of last season and trying to love our guys and do the best job we can in this moment. But it's something we visit, and we haven't delved deep into it, but it's definitely something we're aware of. I would say we're more focused now on having a great season and trying to do the best job we can with this opportunity.
So how do you, so now you're focused on not having the same type of season, how do you demand growth from the guys? Because you're going to have to at some point, right?
Of course, and we have a pretty young group coming in this year. We brought in 6 freshmen. I think we've kind of went away from the portal. Obviously everybody's in the portal. There's the issues with that as well, right? But we felt like, especially this year, we could get some of those high school kids who probably would be, at a higher level, and kind of get them with us, love on them, teach them, develop them, and just have those guys. Those guys are hungry. Those guys are really hungry and competitive. And we surrounded with some returners who have had success and experience in the league, and then we're just going to we're going to be hungry, ferocious, and we're going to play Northeastern basketball.
Kind of circling back around, we talked about your senior year and you guys and not to return to like a disappointing, heartbreaking, but I've heard the debate a lot because it with mid-major in a one-bid conference, which is what the CAA is right now. I know there are hopes that it gets back to where it was in like 2004, 2005 when there were multi-bids. But right now it's a one-bid, and in lots of one-bid conferences there's the constant debate of should there be a conference tournament or should it just be the number one, the team that wins the regular season gets the bid? Because, oftentimes while the best team, more often than not, they're maybe the most likely to win it. A lot of it with those teams, when you're so close and you've played each other twice and it's a third time around and anything can happen, and it comes down to not necessarily who's the actual best team, but who is the hottest team right at the end of the season. And a wonderful season where over the course of 30 games you were the best team goes out the window when you're playing and the CAA is 3 games in 3 days. It's not even like, say, the America East where you've got 2, you've got a week off, and then you've got the championship game to prep. It's like you're playing 3 games back to back to back if you don't get some sort of a double bye depending on the setup. What camp do you fall in? Do you like having it all come down to a conference tournament, or would you prefer that it was some sort of you win the regular season and that's the way the Ivy League used to be?
Right. I mean, I wasn't a fan of the tournament in 2013 when we didn't go. I see both sides of the coin. It's like the NBA now have to play in. I feel like 82 games is enough to establish yourself as a playoff team. But those tournaments do draw crowds and excitement, and you got to be on top of your game at those moments. So I think the conference tournament is always, super competitive. It's another season, essentially. So if you didn't have a great regular season, you got another opportunity over the weekend. You just got to be playing your best ball, playing together, and scratching claw for a few days. So I'm on both sides of the. I see both sides. I definitely feel like if the tournament wouldn't mean as much if the regular season already won the bid, right? Like they'd be like, what we playing
I think
for?
one of the things people also don't realize is if it only came down to, like in the Ivy League when it was just whoever wins, like if you it might be different. You play a team at the start of the Ivy League play, and when everybody's got a chance and they give you their best game versus you face that team at the end of the year and they're already eliminated, they're not necessarily, so it's still not even or fair because of when you play in your schedule certain teams. I think there's something also to be said about the experience as a player. When you're in these conferences where only one team goes to the NCAAs, that it's for a lot of these teams, this is the closest those kids will get to experience the NCAA tournament. Because some of these, you'll have a school that they go to 3 straight because they're just stacked for a specific, and then it's like literally 8-9 other teams don't have a chance for a couple of years. So it is kind of the closest a lot of players will get to that March Madness experience.
Yeah, I mean, that conference tournament is a beast, man. It's, couple days, the best team that's clicking is going. And, you could have won every game in conference play and then get there and have a bad weekend and, it's all over. I always felt that was a little extreme. Like, you go near perfect in conference and then lose the tournament. Yeah. That kind of, that's tough to kind of swallow that you don't get the bid. But, the competition, man, you can't deny it. It's at a high level that weekend.
Would you explain to any of the young kids or parents out here about the cost of being a collegiate athlete? Just as far as itinerary is concerned, the hours you're spending, how your total schedule is just going to change.
Oh yeah, man, it's definitely a commitment. I kind of struggled with, friends or girlfriends, in college that were like, oh, y'all have it so easy, you're going to school for free, you get to play. I'm like, yeah, that's true. You don't see the work behind the scenes though. So, you have lifts, you have practice, you have treatments, you have study hall hours, you have class on top of that, and that's not including the work you have to do outside of that to become a better player, if that's what you want to do. So it's definitely a full commitment. Your time is pretty much gone. Which, that's what you sign up for. You get a free education, a free opportunity to kind of play the game you love, but you're definitely gonna be dedicated to it, with some structure and some coaches planning your days out for you. It's gonna be weekends where everybody's going to a party where we traveling, we got games to play, we got practices to do,
right?
And there's sides to both of them. You get everything paid for, but you're paying with the time. You're paying it back with the time. Whereas, normal students that just go, they're probably struggling. They're taking loans out if they didn't get a scholarship and working side jobs and this and that. But their weekends, they're getting their weekends and sleeping in and everything else. So it's definitely two sides to both coin. But as a collegiate athlete, your time, there's not much space for free time.
It's a full-time job.
It's a job. It's a job. You're going to work. And some of these schools are giving upwards of $60,000+ a year. Like, we're not just letting you, we're not just letting you do what you want. Like, you're going to you have academic responsibilities, you have basketball responsibilities, weight room responsibilities. You got to.
And it's a 1-year renewal. It's not like you can go and goof off. It really needs to be a job to be able to keep getting the scholarship back each year. There's no guarantee that just because you have it your first year that they're gonna keep you around. So it's a stressful job at times too. How I know Northeastern it's not in a it's not in a college town as far as like sports. It's in a pro town other than hockey. Not like tons of, bright lights and all that. But how has the NIL affected you guys as a mid-major that's, not like, center stage anywhere, but has it affected you guys at all?
I would say no. It's still so fairly new. I yes and no. I'm sure that it does affect us at a certain level with certain kids that maybe we want to seek out that certain packages are probably better at other places. But the type of kids we go after, and fit us, I think we typically get the kids we want. We do well with those kids because they understand the opportunity that coach is offering here at Northeastern. You're getting a world-class education. You're going to get coaches who care, who want to develop you. And it's going to work, you're not going to outwork the coaches. We're going to work relentlessly to make you better, to get you to where you want to be. And, you want a coach that wants a relationship with you, too.
So there's one thing I always thought, I thought about it at Northeastern that I know you can't answer the question, okay, but I think it's funny. So they have this great co-op program, right? One of the best in the world, okay? But if you come to Northeastern and you want to major in, medicine, right, and play basketball, you're going to have to choose between the two. You can't do both. What if that means that you have, you've got hours, you've got to spend some hours in the lab, right, or just for whatever word I'm trying to think of, but you can't do it. So then you can't have that major. So you've really got to decide as a young, what am I willing to do? What am I willing to give up, or not willing to do? That's tough because what Northeastern offers is a great education, but you can't go in there, with the wrong perception. Joel mentioned perception earlier. So, that's probably one of the hang-ups also. It's how do you take advantage of that beautiful co-op?
Yeah. Just to answer that, I think there's some majors that are extremely, like Coach always says, you're trying to, for a normal kid that's going to school at Northeastern, they're trying to achieve a great education. As a student athlete, you're trying to do two hard things at once. Get a really good education and play basketball at a high level. We've had guys in the past, dating back to when I was there, that, were engineer majors and they quickly learned that, that's a different type of commitment on top of basketball. So it's doable. Some guys do it. Some guys get through it. Mechanical engineering. It's just takes a special type of person because you basically have no outside life outside of basketball in that. If those type of majors. Was
BMAC engineering?
He was business.
Business. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So it's finance, and then he's got his MBA. But even the business degree is strenuous and you got to dedicate, time to that as well. And we've had guys, over the summer do, a smaller portion of co-op. So those are co-op opportunities, but our guys typically try to take advantage of that in the summer instead of, taking 6 months off to go do it.
What are your goals, because I know you said that you wanted to be, when you were done playing, you wanted to do something that allowed you to still have an impact on kind of the next generation. Coaching was a logical kind of transition, but what are your goals for your career, now? How long? Is there guys that they give it a shot for a while and they're like, it's hard for me to move up, in the ranks, and they go do something else? What are your career goals from here on out?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the end goal is to become a head coach one day. I think there's a ton of growth area for me, and I couldn't imagine a better coach to kind of get that learning from than Coach Cohen right now. So, I'm just a sponge trying to soak up as much knowledge as I can from him to achieve that goal. And then, I'm not sure if I want to be in it as long as Coach Cohen has been in it, as far as spearheading a program. But, I would definitely, highly consider moving back closer to home around family and things of that nature, maybe being a high school coach or, D3 at some point. But the goal right now is head coach. I have high aspirations, got to shoot for the stars, and, I love this game. I don't know exactly where it's heading, but, I'm in it to make connections and be in it as long as I can, because I think I got a lot to offer the game and some of these young guys looking for opportunities.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're working the night shift for the first time on the podcast. We really appreciate it. It was a pleasure. Selfishly, I'm hoping that Northeastern, can really make some noise this year. The alma mater will be nice. But just we really can't thank you enough for joining us.
No, man. Thanks for the invite, man. This was awesome. Appreciate you guys' time and the invite.
Appreciate you coming in, man.
Okay.